The morning sun rose slowly above the rooftops of the ghetto, cutting through the mist and dust that hung over the narrow streets. The air smelled of charcoal smoke and fried chapati. Children ran barefoot through puddles. Some people were laughing, others arguing, but for most life was just beginning again. Among them was Malix, a young man with tired eyes, calloused hands, and a quiet heart. He lived in a one-room house with a rusted iron door and a cracked mirror on the wall. Every day when he woke up, he would stare into that mirror, hoping to see something new in himself. Maybe a man who was finally making it. But every morning, he saw the same face, a fighter, still fighting. Malix was known in the neighborhood as the boy who fixed broken things. Phones, radios, chargers, anything that could make a little money. He worked from a wooden table outside his mother's small house. The table was uneven, but it was his office, his dream, and his beginning. His mother, Amina, sold vegetables at the market. She was always up before dawn, tying her headscarf, humming old gospel tunes. Malix loved her deeply. She was all he had. She used to tell him, "My son, don't wait for luck. Work until luck finds you." Those words stuck with him every day. But the ghetto is a hard place for dreams and for mothers. The constant struggle, the poor food, the worry for her son, it wore Amina down. She fell sick, a persistent cough that turned into a fever that never broke. Malix spent every coin he had on doctors and herbs, but it was too late. She held his hand one quiet evening and whispered her final lesson. "Now, you must walk alone. Be the good man I raised." Her passing left a silence in his life that was louder than any noise in the ghetto. Now, he worked not just for a dream, but in memory of her. Life in the ghetto wasn't easy. Sometimes there was no food. Sometimes the rain flooded the house. But even then, Malix never stopped working. He believed that one day, his skill with his hands would change everything. When the other boys went to bars and fought in corners, Malix stayed behind, fixing phones by candlelight. He didn't have much, but he had purpose. He wanted to be someone. He wanted his mother to rest someday and say, "My son made it." Every coin he earned, he saved. He kept a small tin box under his bed, wrapped in newspaper. It wasn't much, just a few thousand shillings, but to Malix, it was gold. Every coin carried his sweat and hope. Months passed. He became known as the phone doctor. Even people from other streets brought their broken phones to him. He never cheated anyone, never lied, and always smiled politely. Then one day, something happened. A woman came to his small table. She wasn't from the ghetto. You could tell from the way she walked. With a certainty the streets here had long beaten out of most people. She moved with a grace that made the dusty air seem to part for her. She looked different from the others. Clean, graceful, with soft eyes and a calm smile. She asked if he could fix her charger. The others said, "You are the one to see," she said, her voice calm and low. "They call you the phone doctor." As he worked, she stood beside him, quietly, watching. There was something peaceful about her presence, something that made him forget the noise around him. When he was done, she thanked him, smiled, and left. That night, Malix couldn't sleep. He didn't know why, but her face stayed in his mind. Something about her had touched a quiet place inside him. The next day, she came back, this time with a phone that wasn't charging. And the day after that, she came again, saying her earphones had stopped working. Malix didn't realize it then, but it wasn't about the charger or the phone or the earphones. It was about the way she smiled, the way she looked at him when she said thank you. Her name was Lydia. Time moved, and so did feelings. Lydia began staying longer each time she came. They talked about everything: life, dreams, music, the things they both wished for. Malix told her about his plan to one day open a real shop, a place where people would trust him with their phones, where he could hire others and grow. Lydia listened carefully, her eyes shining. She told him he was destined for something greater, that his heart was too good to fail. Her words warmed him. No one had ever believed in him that much before. Weeks later, she started helping him. She'd sit at his stall, talking to customers, laughing, arranging phone cases. People began to know them as a pair. They called them the lovers of Catway Street. Business grew faster. Malix's name spread. He made enough to rent a small shop space. He painted the walls bright blue and placed his wooden table inside. He called it Jehovah Tech Spot. It wasn't big, but to him, it was heaven. Lydia stood by his side, smiling. Malix thought to himself, this is what peace feels like. Months turned into brighter days. They ate together, worked together, and dreamed together. She spoke of opening a second shop, one where they could sell accessories in bulk. Malix liked the idea. He wanted to grow, and she made him believe it was possible. Slowly, he began saving again. Every night, he counted his money, imagining the bigger shop, the new life, the new beginning. But there was something strange about Lydia, something he never noticed before. Sometimes, she would receive calls and step outside, whispering to someone. Sometimes, she would go quiet when he asked about her past. He didn't think much of it. Love made him blind. One evening, she told him she had found someone in town who could sell them accessories at a cheaper price. All they needed was one big investment to start. Malix hesitated. He thought of all the nights he had starved, all the times he had repaired phones for free just to keep customers happy. This was his whole life savings, but he trusted her. She had been there when no one else was. He gave her the money, all of it, every coin he had. She promised to return in 2 days. The next morning, he opened the shop early, waiting for her. He smiled when customers asked about her, saying she had gone to get stock. By evening, she hadn't come back. He called her phone. It was off. He told himself maybe the battery died. Day 2 came. Still no sign of Lydia. By day 3, the worry turned to fear. By day 7, the fear turned to pain. She was gone. The shop rent was due. The shelves were empty. Malix sat inside the blue walls of his dream, staring at nothing. He had been fooled. Rumors spread fast. Some said Lydia was a scammer who had done the same to other men. Others said she had left town with another man. Malix didn't want to believe any of it. He sat at his table for hours, hoping she'd walk in, smiling like before. But she never did. The days turned heavy. The nights felt endless. He stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped repairing phones. One night in the darkness of his room, he stood on a stool with a rope in his hands. He thought it was over, that life had mocked him enough. But then, somewhere deep in his heart, he heard his mother's voice. It wasn't real, but it felt real enough to stop him. She was saying, "Don't let life take what you can rebuild." He dropped the rope, fell to the ground, cried until he couldn't anymore. That night, something in him broke, but something else began to rise. The next morning, he washed his face, looked into the cracked mirror again. He didn't see a fool. He saw a man who had survived. He picked up his broken tools, walked back to the stall, and started again. Not for Lydia, not for love, but for himself. The sun was rising again over the ghetto, and with it, Malix, the boy who refused to stay down. Love and betrayal. The nights had grown quiet around Malix's small room. The world outside still made its noise, taxis hooting, children laughing, drunk men arguing in corners, but inside, it was silent, too silent. Lydia's absence was like a shadow that followed him everywhere. Every place he looked, every song he heard, every woman who passed by, her face flashed in his mind. He tried to forget her. He tried to hate her, but love doesn't die that easily. Weeks turned into months. Malix was broke, but not broken. He still had Jehovah Tech Spot, though most of the customers had stopped coming. Some whispered behind his back, calling him the boy who was scammed by a pretty face. Others just pitied him silently. Still, he opened his shop every morning. He swept the floor, wiped the table, and waited. Sometimes the only customer he had was hope itself. Then, one morning, as the first light touched his broken signboard, Malix sat outside with a cup of black tea. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "Maybe this is just how my story ends." He didn't know that his story was only beginning again. That afternoon, as he closed the shop early, his friend Kato came running down the street. Kato was a hustler too, always. Loud, always laughing. always with the latest gossip. But that day, his face was serious. He pulled Malix aside and said quietly, "Bro, you need to be careful. I heard something about that girl Lydia." Malix froze. He hadn't heard her name in months. Kato continued, "They say she's being looked for by police. Apparently, she's been stealing from people. Not small money, big money. Phones, cash, even online scams. She's not who we thought she was." Malix's chest tightened. The world around him seemed to stop for a moment. He didn't know whether to be angry or just empty. He forced a smile and said softly, "Let them find her. My part of the story ended long ago." But inside, he knew it hadn't. Days passed. The rumor spread like wind. Everywhere he went, he could hear whispers. People talking about Lydia being seen in another town, hiding from the police. Malix pretended not to care. But at night, he couldn't sleep. He kept asking himself, was it true? Was she really that kind of person? Then, one late evening, something strange happened. It was raining heavily. The wind blew the iron sheets hard against the walls. Malix was inside, counting the little money he had left for rent. Suddenly, someone knocked at the door. 3 soft knocks. He hesitated. Who could it be at that hour? When he opened the door, there she was, Lydia. She looked nothing like before. Her clothes were torn. Her face was swollen. Her eyes weak and full of pain. She could hardly stand. Before he could speak, she collapsed into his arms. Malix's heart raced. He carried her inside, laid her on the small bed, and lit a candle. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at the same woman who had destroyed him. When she woke up, tears rolled down her face. "Malix," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I didn't run away. I was attacked. Those men, they took everything. The money, the bag." He didn't say a word. He just listened. She continued. "They beat me and left me for dead. I was in the hospital all this time. I swear, I didn't mean to disappear." Her words cut deep. Part of him wanted to believe her. Part of him wanted to scream. He turned away and said quietly, "I heard the stories, Lydia. They say you steal from people, that you scam them, that you were even wanted by police." Lydia sat up slowly, shaking her head. "That's little money," she said coldly. "Do you think I'd waste time scamming a poor fixer like you? Those are street stories, Malix. You're just a small man who can't move on." The tone in her voice had changed. It wasn't the soft, kind Lydia he once knew. It was sharp, cold, cruel. Malix turned around slowly, his eyes wet. He had no words left. He just watched as she stood up, limping toward the door. "Don't look for me again," she said. "You'll only hurt yourself." And with that, she disappeared once more into the night. After that day, Malix was never the same. He stopped talking to people. He stopped laughing. He started walking late at night, alone, under streetlights that barely worked. Sometimes, he'd sit by the drainage, staring at the flowing, dirty water, wondering if his life would ever change. He was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of losing. Tired of being the good guy in a bad world. Then one night he decided to end it all. He stood in his small room, the same cracked mirror facing him. The rope hung from the ceiling. He climbed onto the stool, shaking, tears falling quietly. He whispered, "Maybe this is how it's meant to end. Maybe I was never meant to rise." But just as he was about to step off, a memory flashed. His mother's voice, warm, gentle, echoing from deep in his heart. "My son, don't let life take what you can rebuild." He froze. His breath caught. The stool shook, and then he stepped down. He dropped the rope and fell to his knees, crying harder than ever before. For hours he stayed there, until the night turned into dawn. When he finally stood up, his face was wet with tears, but his heart was alive again. That morning, Malix walked to Jehovah Tech Spot. He opened the rusty door and looked around at the empty shelves, the broken signboard, the dust on the counter. He smiled sadly and said, "If I built this once, I can build it again." He took a bucket of water, washed the floor, and started repairing an old phone he had left unfinished. One repair turned into two turned into 5. Slowly, customers started coming back. And with each repair, Malix began to heal. By the end of the month, the shop was alive again. He even painted the signboard, same name, Jehovah Tech Spot, but now, under it, he added small words. Grace is stronger than pain. The ghetto began to notice. People started saying, that boy never gives up. And though the pain still lived in his chest, he had found something greater strength. He realized something important. Lydia might have stolen his money, but she didn't steal his purpose. The rise of Risen Tech Spot. The ghetto had changed. New shops stood where old ones had fallen. New faces, new stories, new dreams. But for Malix, the past still whispered in the corners. Even as he smiled and worked, there was a quiet storm behind his calm eyes. Every morning, he opened Jehovah Tech Spot, wiped the counter, and prayed softly before beginning his day. He still lived humbly. He still wore the same jacket he had patched 3 times. But there was peace in his heart, not the kind that comes from success, but from survival. One afternoon, while fixing a cracked phone screen, a customer said, Malix, you're really rising again, man. You should open a bigger shop now. Jehovah Tech Spot is too small for your dreams. Malix smiled and nodded. He had thought about it many times, but he was still scared of starting over and losing everything again. That night, as he walked home, he looked up at the stars and whispered, maybe it's time. Maybe I can rise again. But this time, smarter. Weeks passed, and business continued to grow. He saved every coin he made, avoiding unnecessary spending. He stopped lending money to anyone, stopped trusting easily. He had learned trust can be poison if you drink it blindly. One morning, a man named Mr. Senyonjo, a kind-looking businessman, came to his shop. He said he had watched Malix for months, how hardworking he was, how honest. He told him about an empty shop space in the town center. It's a good place, he said. More customers, more money. You deserve it. Malix hesitated, but something about the man's words sounded sincere, and deep down, he felt ready. So he packed his few tools, closed Jehovah Tech Spot for the last time, and walked into a new beginning. When he opened the new shop, the signboard was bold and clean. Rise in Tech Spot. People loved the name immediately. They said it carried power like a message. Malix said it meant rising from what tried to destroy you. The first days were slow, but he didn't mind. He painted the walls himself, repaired tables, and placed a small speaker at the corner to play soft music. Little by little, customers started coming in. And this time, he wasn't just fixing phones, he was fixing his life. Soon, Risen Tech Spot became popular. Students came with broken chargers. Mothers came with radios. Taxi drivers came with dead phones. Everyone trusted the quiet young man who smiled humbly and never cheated. He even began to train 2 young boys from the street, Timo and Sule, teaching them how to fix phones. He told them, if you learn something clean, you'll never go hungry. For the first time in a long while, Malix felt proud of himself. He would go home tired, but with peace. He had turned pain into power. But in life, peace never stays too long. One Friday afternoon, while Malix was working on a tablet, 2 men entered the shop. They looked suspicious, dark glasses, quiet voices, watching every move. Are you Malix? One of them asked. Yes, he replied cautiously. The man handed him a small paper. It was a police notice. They were looking for a woman named Lydia Namukasa, and they believed she had once worked with him. Malix froze. He felt his heart beat faster. I don't work with her, he said. I haven't seen her in a long time. The men nodded, thanked him, and left. But deep down, something didn't feel right. That night, he couldn't sleep. He knew Lydia was trouble, but why was she being hunted again? And why were they suddenly coming to him? Days passed. Everything seemed normal again. Until one evening, just before closing time, Malix was counting his earnings when the door creaked open. He didn't look up at first. He just said, we're closing soon, come back tomorrow. Then he heard a familiar voice. Tomorrow might be too late, Malix. He looked up, and there she was. Lydia, Her hair was shorter, her clothes cleaner, and her face looked calm, too calm. She smiled faintly. "Long time," she said softly. Malix's hands trembled. He didn't know whether to shout or stay silent. "What do you want?" he asked. She looked around the shop and said, "You did it. You really rose again," he replied coldly. "This time, I did it alone." Lydia sighed. "I didn't come to ask for money. I came to warn you." "Warn me?" Malix asked. She stepped closer, whispering, "The people who were looking for me, they think you have what I took from them. They'll come for you next." Malix's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" She looked at him, her eyes sharp. "Remember the money you gave me long ago? That wasn't for a business. It was a drop. I was moving cash for people you don't want to know. When I disappeared, they thought I ran with it. They think you were part of it." Malix froze. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You used me?" he whispered. Lydia nodded slowly. "I didn't mean to, at first, but it's too late now. You need to disappear, Malix. Tonight." Before he could respond, she turned and walked out into the dark street. He ran after her, shouting her name, but she was gone. That night, fear returned to his heart. He didn't sleep. Every sound outside felt like footsteps coming for him. Every passing car felt like danger. By morning, he made a decision he wouldn't run. He had built Risen Tech Spot with honesty, and he wasn't going to abandon it. But when he reached his shop, something was wrong. The lock was broken. The door was half open. Inside, everything was gone. The shelves, the tools, the money all taken. And on the counter, there was only one thing left. A folded piece of paper. He opened it slowly. It read, "You were warned. You should have listened." Malix stood there, staring at the empty room. His eyes burned. His hands shook. Everything he had built gone again. He sat on the cold floor, whispering to himself, "Why me? Why? Always me?" But as the sun rose outside and light filled the shop, something in his face changed. Pain turned into calm. Tears turned into silence. He looked around at the empty space and said softly, "You can take everything, but you can't take me." He stood up, wiped his face, and walked out not as a broken man, but as someone who had learned that sometimes even rising comes with fire. The return. The sun rose slowly over the ghetto, casting gold light over rooftops still wet from last night's rain. Birds sang faintly, and life began again, but from Malix. There was no song, no light, no peace. He stood in front of Risen Tech Spot, now empty. His dream stolen, his tools gone, his trust betrayed again. He had nothing left, nothing but breath. For 2 days, he didn't eat. He just sat outside the broken shop, staring at the ground. People passed by, whispering his name. Some pitied him, others mocked him. "Hey, that boy again?" "Misfortune follows him like a shadow," they said. But Malix didn't care. He was tired of explaining his pain to people who only wanted a story. That evening, as darkness fell, his old friend Kato came by. He found Malix sitting on the floor, hands dirty, with dust. "Bro," Kato said quietly, "you can't stay like this. You've survived worse. You'll rise again." Malix looked up at him with dull eyes. "Rise? From what?" "Kato, they've taken everything. I have nothing left to rise with." Kato sat beside him. "Maybe not things, but you still have you." Malix looked at him for a long time, then slowly nodded. Maybe he was right. Maybe the only thing left to rebuild was himself. The next morning, he woke up early. He washed his face, shaved, and wore his cleanest shirt. He walked through the streets, not to beg, not to search, but to think. He stopped by the market where his mother used to sell vegetables. The space was now occupied by another woman, but the memories were his alone. He could almost see her there, tying her headscarf, her voice rising in a soft hymn above the market's din. The old woman at the next stall smiled at him and said, "Amina's boy, you've grown strong." She'd be proud. Those words cut deep. He closed his eyes, holding back tears. Maybe that was all he needed. A reminder of where he came from and who he was doing it all for. That afternoon, Malix found himself at the city taxi park. He watched people rushing around, workers, students, vendors, all fighting to survive in their own ways. He thought to himself, maybe the problem isn't what I lose. Maybe it's that I keep rising in the same place I was destroyed. Right there, in the middle of the noisy park, a plan formed in his mind. A new beginning, a new direction. He would leave the ghetto, go to the city, outskirts, start a new shop, not in the same streets that remembered his failure. 3 months later, the signboard went up. Ryzen Tech Spot, Branch 2. From dust to destiny. The shop stood on a quiet street near the bus station. Small, but clean, peaceful, hopeful. This time, Malix worked quietly. No helpers, no partners, no unnecessary friends. He trusted only his work and his God. Business began to grow again, slowly but steadily. He saved his profits, avoided distractions, and built his name again from the ground up. The pain had become his teacher. One evening, as the sky turned red with sunset, a young woman entered the shop. She wore a hoodie and sunglasses. She placed a cracked phone on the counter and said softly, "Can you fix this for me?" Malix nodded, taking the phone without looking up. "Come back in 30 minutes, he said. But as she turned to leave, something about her voice made him pause. He looked up, and his heart froze. It was Lydia. She removed her glasses slowly. Her eyes were tired, but still sharp. She smiled, faintly, a sad kind of smile. "Still fixing broken things, huh?" she said quietly. Malix stood there, speechless. The shop went silent. Even the street outside seemed to pause. Finally, he asked, "Why are you here, Lydia?" She sighed and sat down on the stool. "Because I'm tired of running," she said. "Tired of hiding. Tired of pretending. I lost everything. The people I worked with, they turned on me. I've been on the run for months." Malix clenched his fists, trying to control the anger rising in him. "You destroyed me twice, Lydia. Why come back now?" Tears filled her eyes. "Because you're the only person who ever saw me as a human being. The only one who forgave me, even when I didn't deserve it." He looked at her coldly. "Forgiveness doesn't erase what you did." She nodded slowly. "I know, I just wanted to say sorry before it's too late." They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Lydia reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. "This belongs to you," she said. Malix hesitated. Inside were bundles of cash, neat, clean, fresh notes. She whispered, "I found part of the money that was stolen from you. I kept it hidden. I couldn't live with it anymore." Malix looked at the money, then at her. "Why bring it now?" "Because I'm leaving tonight," she said. "Far away, somewhere no one will ever find me. I don't want to die with this on my conscience." He didn't know what to say. The woman who once betrayed him twice now sat before him, trembling, broken, human. After a long silence, he said quietly, "Take the money. I don't want it. If you want to fix something, fix your soul." She looked at him with wide eyes, tears streaming down. "I wish I could start over, like you." Malix smiled faintly. "Everyone can. You just have to stop running." She nodded, stood up slowly, and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she turned back and said, "If I don't make it, tell the world I tried." And she disappeared into the night. Hours later, as Malix was closing the shop, a loud explosion echoed from the main road. Screams filled the air. Police sirens wailed in the distance. He ran outside, heart pounding. People were shouting, "A car has exploded." When he reached the scene, he froze. The car burning in, Flames was the same one Lydia had entered earlier that night. He stood there silently as smoke rose into the sky. His face was calm, but his eyes were full of pain. The girl who broke him, the girl who warned him, was gone forever, or so he thought. 3 weeks later, Malix was sweeping the shop early in the morning when a small brown envelope slid under his door. He picked it up carefully. Inside was a folded note written in Lydia's handwriting. It read, "You told me to stop running, so I did. But they never stopped chasing. If you're reading this, it means they think I'm dead. Don't look for me. And if anyone comes, asking about the files, burn them." At the bottom of the letter was a small flash drive. No name, no clue, just a symbol of golden R. Malix looked at it for a long time. Then he whispered, "Risen." He turned it over in his hand, uncertain whether to open it or destroy it. As the screen faded to black, his voice echoed softly. "Some people rise for peace. Others rise for revenge. I'm not sure which one I am anymore."